Well, welcome to the birthing of a book baby. My name is Alfred Castillo, and I'll be your host. Today, we will be looking at the actual birthing process of a book developed by Writing Services. My first interview is going to be with the inspirational principal, Ms. Sharon C. Jenkins. The company provides project management writing services for small businesses, nonprofits, and of course to authors. They recognize the power of words as one of the most inspirational and one of the most effective branding tools for businesses, social causes, and book projects. Ms. Sharon Jenkins, welcome.
Thank you, Alfred. I am pleased to be here today.
Awesome. So, Ms. Jenkins, tell me, I understand that Writing Services has a unique process to prepare its writers, not only to write the book, but to also publish it as well.
Absolutely. It's called the IMTs Project. And the wonderful thing about this process is simply this. It is a unique secret sauce that we use for all of our authors. We believe that if you have a great beginning, you're going to have a successful ending. So let me talk to you a little bit more about the process. I stands for idea. We help the author come to a place of faith about this idea that they have, this conceived idea, and we help them mold it and shape it so that it'll be industry acceptable. So you have to make sure that your audience, your target audience, is going to be receptive of this particular idea that you have. Then the next thing is your motivation. That's that secret sauce that keeps your mojo running. We have to make sure that you know what that is, because writing a book is not for punks. You have to make up your mind that you are going to see this to the end. And quite a few authors get to the manuscript completion stage and they don't go on. So we want to make sure that you're in tune with your motivation. The next step, and I love this step, is the team step. The author actually thinks about, I'm really strong in this area, but I'm not so strong in this area. So we help them select a team. We put a team around them to complement their strengths and their weaknesses. And the last part of our process is sales. The reason why sales are so important is because you want to make money. You want to sell books because you want to make money. So we help you develop a marketing and sales strategy that will ensure that you meet your financial goal for your book. So the reason why we work with authors in the beginning of the process is because if you have all of this established, when you sit down to write your book, you already know that you're going to be successful. Some of the things that authors think about when they're writing a book is, will anybody want to read my book? Or will anybody want to buy my book? Well, we dispel those myths and we help an author find confidence. We're going to interview two of my authors today, Dr. Barbara Walker Green and Dr. Bruce Johnson, and they are major influencers in their industry. And what I love about them is the fact that they brought a challenge to the table. It was critical for us to make sure that their books were reflective of their brand. We make sure that your book talks about you, shouts about you, and gets your message to the masses.
So thank you, Ms. Sharon, for sharing that story with us. And I look forward to hearing from Dr. Barbara and Dr. Bruce Johnson. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
We are now here with the author of the book, The Inevitable Rise of a Shero Nation. Dr. Barbara, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So my first question to you, Dr. Barbara, is what was your motivation to get the book completed?
I tell you, my chairperson that hooded me with my doctorate degree, her name was Dr. Krista Watson. And one of the things she said to me that I'll never forget during this journey, my doctoral journey, is that it's your time. She said that to me, and it didn't mean anything to me at the time. Since then, right before I graduated and was hooded, Dr. Watson passed away suddenly. And it really struck me, her 3 words, "It's your time." So I took it to heart, I kind of took it to heart, and I sat back, I reflected on it, but time just kind of went by. Then here comes COVID. COVID hit. I'm naturally from California. I live in Texas like 50% of the time. So I happened to be in Texas when COVID hit, right? So now I'm locked down by myself in my beautiful place with nothing to do. So I started reflecting back on what she said, "It's your time." So I took that to heart and I said, you know what? I am not going to sit here and let all this time go by and not accomplish anything at the end of it. So I decided to start writing my book. So one thing about me is once I'm accountable to someone, I do it. I'm 110%. So I knew I needed to get accountable to someone. So I called Miss Sharon Jenkins, right?
Oh, yes.
I called Sharon. She has her beautiful business, writing services. And I knew once I opened my mouth and told her I wanted to write a book, it was on, right? So I called Sharon and I told her I wanted to write the book. I told her a little bit of the story behind my motivation. And she said, "Let's do it." Once she said that, I knew it was on. So we started writing like February, March of this year. And we just plowed through it. The beauty of it is I had all this time by myself. I'm down here by myself. My family is in California. And I literally was shut down here by myself. So I was able to write almost 24/7. The good part is my research was already done. My dissertation really brought to life a lot of the things that I talk about in my book. They came from the research that I did for my dissertation. And I can tell you, it was so enlightening, the things that I found out about what women and gender equality is really about, where it comes from, and how to really face it and conquer it. So my motivation came from, I would say, Dr. Krista Watson and my desire not to let COVID take me to a place where I came out of it on the other side unaccomplished.
Excellent. What a great story on that motivation. That leads me to my next question is, tell us about your approach for team formulation.
Well, again, for me, it's accountability. So I knew that if I was accountable to someone, that I would get it done. But not just to Sharon and her motivation and her wonderful skills at bringing out the creativity in me, because writing a dissertation is very sterile, right? It's like you have to quote everybody, you have to cite everything you do, you have to make sure you cross your T's, dot your I's. So it's very sterile. So Sharon was able to bring out the creativity and the emotion behind what I was doing. So that commitment to doing a good job with her, alongside of her, really pushed me. So I know I needed someone like that. But I also needed the excellent editing services of someone, right? Because you have to make it clean, especially when you have a DR in front of your name. People expect for you to be perfect. So Dr. Shan, she came on board with Sharon, part of Sharon's team, and she made sure it was clean and crisp. Then I have Nick Jones. He's my videographer. And he helped me put together some wonderful pieces. You should see my website. He's really good at putting video content together. So we work very well together to do that. Then I have my social media team, because you're dead without social media today, right? So Alethea and Carolina are my social media team. So they do a lot of content, and they're really good at making sure that not only do you have good content, but you know how to use it, how to retarget people, all these things that make social media really work. That is what they do. And then I have my publicist I recently hired that's going to put me out there in front of the world, Dr. Renee Rochon. She is the last addition to my team that's really pushing me out there in terms of getting my face out there to the world. So it's definitely a team effort.
Yeah, it sounds like
it is.
Excellent. Well, that's so great how all of that came together. And so my last question for you, Doctor, is talk about the development of your marketing strategy.
Being a doctor, one of the things you learn, especially when you're quoting and you're writing something that you're presenting to the world that's going to be actually published, because a dissertation is a published document, right? So you want to make sure that what you do is evidence-based. So my first approach was to research marketing techniques that work, that have been proven to work, that have been proven to put 6-7 figures behind a dollar, right? So those are the things that motivate me first. Go to work, find out what works. So once I did that, I modeled my plan after that because it had to speak my voice as well. So I started out by identifying my target audience, right? Because you have to know who you're marketing to, right? You can't just write a book and hope somebody buys it, right? I think that's one of the mistakes that a lot of book writers make in terms of the research that I did. So I first identified, who am I selling this book to? Who am I reaching? What pain points can I touch upon to make people say, I think I want to know more about this. So after doing that, I said, okay, second thing is create a buzz because people have to know you're out there. So the second thing I did was I rebranded the term Shero. Shero already exists, right? It's been out there for a long time, but my plan was to take it to a different place, a different level. So I created a buzz around Shero Nation, those two terms. And I really put a lot of content out there. I invited people to speak about what Shero means to them. So I let the world's voice be heard is what my goal is, to let the world's voice be heard. What is your Shero? Who is your Shero? Your grandmother, your daycare provider that allows you to go to work and not worry about your kids. The senators, the judges, all those other people. Sheroes come in all sizes, shapes, and colors. So I created a buzz. Then after creating a buzz, I said, okay, everybody knows what this Shero is. I invited people to send video to me and talk about who their Shero is. That was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I got a lot of information from people that shared their Shero stories. So I allowed the world to speak about Shero and start talking about Shero. And that term, just really getting it out there. After that, I said, okay, everybody's talking about Shero. I have content out there. I have people sending me content. Now it's time to release the title of the book. Very systematic approach to this, okay? So I released the title of the book, The Inevitable Rise of the Shero Nation. So I put the book title out there, and it really caught on really quickly. We were in the 80,000 plus number, somewhere like that in social media, people just clicking and trying to find out what is this Shero thing all about. So I did that. The next step was to release the book cover. Okay, so the book cover, I released the cover, and the back cover of the book was really big deal for me. I didn't just throw a back cover together. The back cover of the book tells a beautiful story about where the whole concept of the Shero came from within inside of me. So if you visit my website and you watch the back cover story, you will really learn a lot about what's on the pages of my book and where it came from. So that back cover release was really, really a big deal. So there's a whole video series out there about the back cover and where it came from. So after the back cover was revealed, then I did the pre-order launch. So the next step was to launch it, offer a giveaway. The giveaway is a free download of the back cover portrait. It's not just a picture on the back of the book. It's a beautiful portrait that can be hung in your home or office and proudly displayed, that really kind of brings unity to women that are out there trying to fight and appreciate unity and gender equality, equal pay, all the things that women fight for. But the one thing that I was very careful about in my book is to make sure that no one took away the idea that it was a man-bashing book, because that's not what it is. My book talks about how we can work together, men and women, and coexist in our own truth. Women are women, men are men. Accept it, deal with it, and roll with it. So my book is not a man-bashing book. I definitely don't want anyone to think that. As a matter of fact, we give credit to all the men out there that also fight for gender equality. So those things all came together in terms of getting the book to the pre-launch stage. My book now is ready to launch. It's ready to launch on Black Friday. I chose Black Friday for a couple of reasons, but my book actually launches on Black Friday. So my book will launch with a special price on Black Friday, the weekend of Black Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with a special promotional price. Then after that, it launches. So post-launch, I plan to do some podcasts, a bunch of TV appearances, things like that to really, really promote the Shero movement. I want Shero to be more than just a book that I wrote, but more of a awakening of women and men as well. Again, if men read the book, they will see things that maybe they didn't realize they were doing in terms of micro inequities, things like that. So definitely post-launch is a big marketing plan as well. One of the big things I plan to do is what's called the Million Book Challenge. I'm challenging the world to purchase 1 million copies of my book. That $1 million book, that million book challenge will allow me to make contributions to organizations that are fighting for gender equality. So that is a big deal. It's not just about selling 1 million books, which is not a bad thing, but the goal of that is to be able to direct dollars towards organizations that are fighting and helping to promote gender equality.
Absolutely. What a great way to tie that together. You know, you have an aspiration to get your word out.
Yes.
This challenge, and at the end of the day, is coming full circle. Well, thank you for sharing that, Dr. Barbara Walker Green. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for also sharing a little bit about your experience with MIC Writing Services. And once again, congratulations on the birthing of your book, baby.
Thank you for having me.
Next, we'll talk to Dr. Bruce Johnson, the author of The Power of Your Life. We'll be back. We are here with Dr. Bruce Johnson, the author of The Power of Your Life. Welcome, Bruce.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Great. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
All right. So tell us, what was your motivation to get the book completed?
Well, I tell you, it's a journey just trying to come up with a story, but I had to chronicle my life. This book talks about not only me as a little boy at the age of 8, 9, just really wanted to be somebody one day, right? Yes. We all have that dream to be somebody. The good news about being somebody is that if you can remember back to those old days where your mom took you to church by the hand and you got a chance to hear the organ play and the people sing and all that good stuff, it gives you the kind of foundation of where your life is going to really start, right? Here's where I started. I started in the house of the Lord. I started in a church. I started in a place where it's ultimately me against the world. What am I going to be when I grow up? And one of the great things about this book and the chronicle of me putting this book out is I reached back that far to just give a heritage of good family values, knowing who your neighbor is, understanding the power of your life from a young man to an adult now, building a brand and building who you really want to be and to become.
Very good. I like that, Bruce. I kind of took away from that the humble beginnings, right?
Yes.
Demonstrate you are. So that's fabulous. Yes. Thank you for that. What was your motivation to get the book published?
Well, I'll tell you, to get the book published, I of course reached out to Sharon Jenkins, who is a phenomenal person here in the city of Houston, Texas, have given so much of her time and her creativity to so many of us. I really asked Miss Jenkins to work with me a year ago. You know how you get that thought, and I'm sure most authors always do. I got a book idea, and I came to Miss Jenkins and said, Miss Jenkins, I got it. She said, Bruce, I don't know if you got it yet. And you know what? She was absolutely right. I was not ready to really tell my story because God had not really gave me the fullness of what I needed to really put out in the public. But the good news is I came back to her again and she says, you're ready now. I had my story lined up. I had all of my content lined up, and she put me with some incredible team writers and people to really help everything kind of come together. And even today, we're still working together. But I'll just say this, putting the book together is the hardest part, right? Yes. Everybody, how do you start? What do you do first? And the great news is getting with somebody that really have a really good listening ear to really put your story together. I mean, the heart of your story. I want to say the heart of your story and capturing every moment that you want them to catch.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. I know it seems like, you needed that roadmap. It sounds like,
Absolutely.
reaching out to Miss Jenkins for that guidance, and then obviously not hearing everything we want to hear. Like, I'm ready. Yes, you are. No, halt, not yet.
No, not
Here's some preparation. And so
Exactly.
there's some dealings that you needed to work with. And
Absolutely.
then ultimately you had that team. And that's a great segue into our next question,
Yeah.
Doctor. So how did you select the members of your publishing support team?
Wow. At this time, Morgan James out of New York is publishing my book. That was a choice of real simplicity because they're number one around the world. They've done wonderful things around the world. They don't carry a lot of books. I think they have about 100 to 200 that they pick out of the year. And I'm going under the faith and faith-based book, so I'm kind of excited for that. Woo! A shout out to them. But more importantly, Sharon Jenkins helped me to put that portion together because, again, the tonality of the story that I've put out in the world through this book, The Power of Your Life, it has to have a home. And finding the right home for it, for your book, is not easy. So it's kind of like you have to make sure that your book, your writers, your publishing, all come together. And with moving forward to push this book to a Morgan James, you want to definitely make sure that you can not only, should I say, get in bed with them to make sure that they are going to, pamper your baby, right? Take care of your baby.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that they can really take this book to the whole next level in which they can. So the book will be on Amazon and all places that books are sold. And I get the great news about Morgan James I've learned is that they're team players. So I'll have a full marketing team with me along with my own team that will be able to help me to push this book around the world through campaigns and through billboards and through social media and through every source of social media that we can find. And even through these times that we're in right now, you want to make sure that people can get the message that you're putting out in the world.
That's correct. That's very impressive, Doctor. Thank you for sharing that with us. Again, the selectiveness of that publishing company, and that's what you're targeting. It sounds like you've done your research and your homework. So excellent. That's good
Absolutely.
that you've put that work behind that.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned marketing. Tell us about the development of your marketing strategy.
Well, through my life, the life of entertainment, such as being able to put people together. I'll just talk about that first. Let's talk about putting that team together. Putting a team together, of course, we all have to be on the same page, in the same dream, making the same ideas come to life. Through one of the marketing plans that I plan to do personally is billboards around the city. Billboards around the country, billboards to make sure that people not only see the message, but they are intrigued by the message, the power of my life, understanding that that's something that I want to be empowered. If I want to empower someone, I want to be able to at least be in the same corner with that person to say, hey, if you're doing well, I want to do well. If you got an incredible faith, I want to have an incredible faith. If you believe in this faith, I want to believe in this faith. However, everybody's not going to dream with you, right? So with not dreaming with me, if I can just have that moment of your time to pick up my book and understand that I dream just like everyone else dream, our dreams can come together.
Wow. Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you, Doctor, for sharing those insights with us about your book, and congratulations.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Next, we're here with journalist Jasmine Anderson, who will share her experience on the interviews she did on the book, The Inevitable Rise of the Shero Nation. Jasmine, welcome.
I know, I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome.
This is just amazing. I love what McWriting Services has been doing. I got the pleasure of interviewing a lot of different women and just phenomenal, influential women who are doing some great, powerful things in the world. And I really admire the fact that they chose me to do the interviews with them. And it was just really amazing because I got to learn so much from being the Shero, women heroes, and what that looks like to them in their life. So it really was a great experience, and I'm grateful that I got to do that.
So Jasmine, I understand that you interviewed several women of the Shero Nation book. Can you give us some of your most memorable moments about doing those interviews?
One of the ladies who I did interview, which was among a whole list of them, I think I've interviewed like 15 of the women. So Dare Chisholm, she actually, I believe she's writing the foreword for the book as well, but she stood out to me because she was talking about the energies with masculine, feminine energy. She also just spoke some really wise things about women, us working more together and in businesses and just all of the endeavors that we have. Like, it's more better to come together and what that looks like. So her interview stuck out to me because it had me just look into myself about like showing up as who I need to be. And that was mainly what she was talking about in the interview as well. How women, it's not about competition. It's not about us feeling like we need to compare ourselves to other women, that we all have our own path, our own journey, and to just be in that, to walk in that. So that's what I really loved about her interview. It kind of stuck a little bit more deep because I was like, yes, of course, it's something I definitely agree with. So it just really stuck out because it was good for a woman of her influence and of her just phenomenality. Like, I'm gonna make up a word. It was just beautiful having her just say some really great things about just being a Shero and being a powerful woman. So it's really great.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Jasmine, for that. My next question is, based on those interviews that you conducted, how was working on this book influence you as a journalist?
Wow, like as a journalist, it does help me because as a woman, I am just always searching how I can be my best. So me interviewing other women who are just doing their thing, they're fully fledged in their career, it kind of helps show me just how to better go on my journey, use the wisdom that they have and use that for where I'm going. So I don't have to keep thinking about, I need to, off of mistakes, off of lessons. I can learn from their mistakes. I can learn from their lessons. So it really was influential to me because I got to see what Sheroes are, and a sense of, besides my mom, my aunties and things like that, I got to look at other women who were influential, some that I knew about and some that I didn't know before. So it really influenced my life on, hey, let's empower each other. Let's continue to communicate. Let's also, share the different events that we have going on. So it definitely helped me because I now have connections with them that I can use, and we can, I call them up and just like help them with whatever they need. And then they are also willing to give me as well the help that I would need for my journey. So it's been great.
Well, Jasmine, thank you for your time today. And we look forward to hearing more from you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
It's the team that makes the dream work, folks. And now we're going to talk to a few members from Writing Services in just a few moments.
Editing the inevitable rise of the Shero Nation meant working alongside Dr. Walker Green as she invites readers into a conversation that started hundreds of years ago. This conversation is one that brings about awareness. It answers so many questions that we as women leaders or aspiring women leaders may have. And it also confirms some of the truths in terms of realities that we experience. And even for our male counterparts who might be mentoring us. Editing this very important book, or conversation as I like to call it, meant making sure that some of the issues and the topics were addressed with the appropriate amount of delicateness required. In addition, it meant making sure that when a certain amount of power or assertion that was needed in order to help whoever opens this book to see that there are some truths, some very undeniable truths, and some very undeniable realities that occur. Overall, editing this conversation meant preserving Dr. Walker Green's voice of credibility, voice of knowledge, and voice of wisdom. It was truly a privilege and a pleasure to edit such a remarkable and necessary conversation.
Hi there, my name is Elizabeth, and I am a storyteller, a writer, and interviewer. I wanted to talk a little bit about how important it is to write memoirs and to work with a storyteller that really can help you draw out those life experiences to put them into a book that you can keep for generations. It is such a wonderful privilege for me, for the writer, to be able to listen to people's stories and help make those stories come to life on the pages of a legacy memoir. It's so important to be able to tell these stories and to hold them as mementos of time periods that have passed. These people that tell these stories, someday they're not going to be around, and the stories, the legacies live on. It's so important to be able to take part in this process, and I truly love the work. I think it's so important to have that great relationship, writer, storyteller, and it's the reason I do what I do, and I find the work so fulfilling and meaningful. Hope you guys also have a similar experience when you are writing your own memoir, and I wish you all the best in this process.
Hi, Terrence Johnson, graphics designer for The Inevitable Rise of the Shero Nation by Dr. Green. I was presented with the question of how I came up with the layout or the design for the book and book cover. I generally work with 3 elements on a project like this, and one would be the image that was presented by the client, fonts, and color. So in determining fonts, you get a feel for the tone of the title, the image, and you can kind of go in and find some fonts that you think work with it. As far as color, you look over the image that was presented, and you could determine what colors complement that image or what colors are used in the image that you can utilize on the cover. So that's kind of basically it. You know, it's what's presented to me. I look at it, and from there we do the layout. I generally work up 5 comps and send that to the client. And from those 5 comps, hopefully she or he likes at least 1, maybe sometimes 2. And from there, we develop that one that we're all in agreement with that could turn out to be the final cover. That's kind of how this played out. Is we presented multiple layouts, and she picked one, and we took it to the next level. And from there, present that, and then prepare it for print.
If you want a successful book baby delivery, Sharon Jenkins is the literary midwife for you.